Brought to you by Hickson Masking Incorporation. Want to get big like me?
Yeah.
Super HD. It's got all that nar.
Oh, stay down, Mason. Here comes another one of George Washington's soldiers. And as you can see, he has mass gainer, which is why he's so big.
Oh my god, that's that rare Hickson mass gainer.
It has a measurable heart.
It's not like it's measurable anyways.
Because the heart is unmeasurable. There he is. Oh my god, stay down, stay down. Oh, as you can see, he has just taken his protein and he's lifting.
Dude, he is getting massive. I can see his heart throbbing from here.
Oh, get some triceps in there.
Oh, yeah. Hey, what's up, bro? You guys know where the nearest protein is?
Right in there.
Right in there, my brother.
Alright, thanks, bro.
Stay swole, my friend.
Oh, you too, bro.
This commercial is brought to you by Hickson Mass Gainer Incorporated and Cali Muscles.
Cali Muscle.
Up next on Channel 9 News at 9, we have the news.
Breaking news from Valley Forge.
10 o'clock, baby.
The 12,000 men and women of the Continental Army who arrived in Valley Forge on December 19, 1777 with Commander General George Washington were half-starved and no longer believed they could win a war of independence for Britain. The Patriot Army had lost the Battle of Brandywine on September 11th, 1777 and the Battle of Germantown on October 4th, 1777. They had been forced to retreat at both battles. This left them discouraged. There were about 12,000 men who arrived with General Washington that December day. The men's ages ranged from 11 to 16 years old, but some were up to their 50s and 60s. Most of them were white, but some were black, and Indians also served in the Continental Army.
For the people's housings besides the officers, they lived in a 6-foot square tents made out of canvas. The canvas were weak and often cracked. They didn't provide a lot of protection from the cold. Some officers lived in nearby farmhouses, which were better than the huts. They provided better shelter than the tents, and during the long winter they also started to fall apart, though the men were exposed to the cold.
Each brigade had its own hospital, but with the poor conditions, many men became sick. Because of the cold, the men could not bathe, and poor hygiene caused even more problems. PU. The hospitals were not big enough, and there weren't enough medical supplies to take care of all the sick men. Just imagine that. All these sick men just sitting around being sick. Who's going to take care of them? They don't have any hospitals. They can't do anything. They're just dying out there.
The Continental Army was always very short on food, clothing, equipment, and other supplies. The Continental Congress and the individual colonies were responsible for supplying the things the soldiers needed. There was a lot of reasons why this didn't happen. The newly formed Congress wasn't always organized, and many of the men were busy fighting battles themselves. The money minted by the Congress began to have little value. Sometimes the British would capture the supply wagons headed for the Patriot camps. One source said that the military army needed 34,577 pounds of meat and 168 barrels of flour each day. The soldiers ate dried meat, salted meat, apples, pears, beans, peas, and corn. When the shortages became bad in December and February, Quartermaster General Greene sent men out to round up cattle and other food items they could find in the neighboring area. General Greene encouraged the nearby farmers to sell their produce to the soldiers. He established his list of foods wanted in the Pennsylvania packet on the flyers that were distributed.
I'm in
Hold on. Go.
Alright, so for free time and recreation, these guys really didn't do much. There wasn't much you could do in the middle of winter without proper shelter and clothing. But the troops found things to do to pass time. Even General Washington, he was quite the fellow. He was known to join his officers in a game of cricket every now and then. They were treated to professional plays, including Joseph Addison's potato to keep their spirits up. The soldiers would sing. They sing jolly songs and have fun and laugh.
Project's fun. Alright, I eat Gatorade breakfast pizza, 12 o'clock at night. Awesome.
General Washington is remembered as a man of prayer. He prayed for his troops. One prayer for his troops had been recorded. "'Tis pride with these old men to tell what they have seen. 'Twill be pride when we are old to say that in our youth we heard the tales they told and looked at them on our truth. Valley Forge was yet the darkest hour before the dawn, yet the Continental Army never did give up."
Often the men were sent out of the encampment to look for more enlistments or to find food. Food really helped the soldiers because they didn't have much food and it was very cold. Sometimes they were just given leaves where they could go and rest, sometimes even to their home states. In the diary of Jeremiah Greenman, he writes, "All ye spare officers sent home to recruit another regiment and some on furlough." This just shows that in a war, you gotta have heart. Heart.
Gerhard Augustine arrived at Valley Forge to volunteer his military skills and training to the Continental Army to be more professional and disciplined. Historical records do say that he was an excellent shooter. Woo! Got him. Good buddy. General Washington made him acting inspector. He spent the rest of the winter and spring training, disciplining, and organizing the army. He taught Washington's troops how to maneuver through the field and how to use bayonets properly. He was very strict with the Americans and knew very little English. Very little. That would be hard. And drilled the soldiers for hours, but the Americans appreciated him and devoted him.
When the shortages became bad in December and in February, Quartermaster General Greene sent men out to round up cattle and other food items they could find in the neighboring area. General Greene encouraged the nearby farmers to sell their produce to his soldiers. He published this list of food that he wanted in the Pennsylvania packet and on flyers that were distributed. Fresh pork, fat turkey, goose, rough skinned potatoes, turnips, Indian meal, sauerkraut, leaf tobacco, new milk, cider, and small beer. Gotta have a little beer. And lastly, today Valley Forge is a historical establishment in 1976. Landmarks and the remains of the encampment have been preserved with many markers and mementos of this historic winter, including the remains of fortifications. Valley Forge symbolizes the American heroism of revolutionaries. Even though they lived under horrible conditions, they continued to train and become better soldiers. You gotta train to become better soldiers because, you can be an average soldier, just sit around doing nothing. You're not gonna get anywhere. You gotta train to be the best, like they did. And that's why they were the best. Because they had one thing. The unmeasurable. They had heart. You can't measure heart. You can measure my bench press. You can measure my 40 time. You can measure all that crap. But you cannot measure my heart.
Also. I want to do a lot editing for Skyler.
Can I go?
One.
Alright.
Are you gonna say 3, 2, 1?
Oh, and I'm just going to edit out the beginning.
Alright, we'll delete that.
It's going. Go.
Okay. Housing for officers and soldiers. They slept and they
Go.
okay. Housing for people, except the officers, which the canvas were weak and often cracked. They didn't provide a lot of protection from the cold. Whew.
That was actually good.
Are you ready, bruh?
Alright, bruh, so here, there's this new news in, bruh.
You need to lay down that sweet nectar on us all, bruh.
Laid it down.
Woo!
So listen, for recreation to go up into the Alps, bruh, and see they snowboard down and they get that sweet nectar.
Oh, that sweet nectar, bruh?
Yeah, bruh, and they just...
Did they get that narnar juice under the
Yeah,
board
they
and
get
ride
that
it out with that
narnar
sweet
juice.
nectar?
Yeah, they get that gnar
Woo!
juice, and they just ride it out.
Oh,
all the
baby,
way
that's-
down. It's
that's
so
nice.
gnar, bruh.
That's no! Whoa!
You videotaped
Well,
that?
really, there isn't much you can do in the middle of winter without proper shelter and clothing.
Supplies and food were almost gone. Genital
Genital Washington. No, when it slides in and you stop it, then you say another key to my success, and then he'll zoom in,
Okay.
and then I'll go on with my
Alright,
list.
Alright, go.
Another key to my success. As you can see, it has me all over it. Hickson, Iron Mass.
See, the main ingredient here is heart. It's not measurable, but it's unlimited.
It's Hickson Heart.